12:05. So, I mean, guess as people come in, we can continue, but just wanted to get us started. Welcome to our May member event for our SIG. And just as an opening activity, I was saying drop your name, your location, what the district you work for, or maybe your job title in the chat. Get our event started. I see we have Jasmine and Allison, Natalie. Hi, guys. Beautiful. I think I might have a lag. Can you guys all hear me okay, though? Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, lots of Fresno people, but also our Monterey, Katie.
Fresno at heart.
Fresno at heart. Definitely. I know Natalie's in here from West Sacramento. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm so glad you guys could join us today. We can discuss some of the current topics that people were interested in learning more about. Thanks, Holly from Washington Unified. And so really, just as you all know, our special interest group exists to be able to provide events like this to you, where we can do professional development opportunities, CEUs, a bunch of different resources, especially for us behavior analysts who are in the school districts and school settings. Ooh, I'm so sorry. And so this is our lovely board. I'm Alex Jones. I'm the vice president of the SIG, and we do have other board members present today. So I guess I can kind of just go over everyone because some weren't able to make it today. So we have Rob Spain, our president. We have Michelle, our membership and recruitment. Megan, our secretary. Danielle Beal is our Calaba liaison. And then we have Katie Turner, our past president, and Holly Northcross is a new member, a new board member for research and resources. Holly, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi everybody. I think I've met almost all of you. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working on the board and hopefully can bring some good stuff to you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, so we also, oh, I'm sorry, my slides are going backwards. We also have some open positions available. So my vice president position, the secretary position, and membership and recruitment are all available positions right now. So if you guys are interested, I put a QR code right there so that you can fill out the intent to run form. So if you are interested, I'll also drop the links in the chat later. So if you guys missed the QR code, but
I got you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, so if you guys are interested, we are looking for new board members and we want you to come join us. So let us know. And then for today's topics, we are going to talk about the multi-payer fee schedule, or like certified wellness, and what it means to be a certified wellness coach, I guess, on that schedule. Some tier 2 interventions, maybe like what you guys are doing. I'll kind of chime in on what we're doing at our district. And then community schools. I know a lot of members were interested in learning more about what that is and what that means. And then I'll also drop a form so that you guys can tell us what else you're interested in learning about. But we'll go ahead and get started with our first topic of the multi-payer fee schedule. Katie, were you going to talk about this?
Sure. So
Thank you.
I think I was. So as a SIG, we have like two different types of events. We do CEUs, and then we also do these member events. And really, they are more of a discussion for us to like collectively share our knowledge a little bit. So I can kind of open us up. The multi-payer fee schedule is something that's going on in districts, right? And the intention is to create it's been going on for a while in lots of different ways, but mostly geared towards special education. And now there's a new opportunity through the all payer fee schedule to bill for services rendered to all students and those that not just have Medi-Cal, but also private insurance. So there's an opportunity for LEAs to create sustainable jobs by billing for the services that their practitioners are doing for their students and families. And then that money goes right back into general fund, and the general fund can be used for positions. So the intention is that the money is used to sustain the jobs of people like us, right? Or mental health, or school psychologists, or health, or school counselors. I think I got them all. And then there's this new element of the certified wellness coach position, which the intention of that is to create a certification for classified staff in order to diversify the workforce and create, that's what I'm looking for, like pathways for classified staff to grow in their positions and how they service students and families. And that job is also a billable job on the all payer fee schedule. So we kind of just wanted to hear from our members of like, where is your district in this? Do you have certified wellness coaches? Are you working to get your behavior support team to become certified wellness coaches so you can bill back for the services they provide? Is your district in a cohort? And then also, if you have questions, if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, we can talk about it further. So yeah, I think it's just an open conversation around this topic. So if anybody wants to jump in, or I can share where our district is. So what do we think?
I can share. I know, Katie, we've talked extensively about this, kind of where we're at. So this is kind of a duty that I was given to try to sort this out. And Washington Unified is part of the Fresno County cohort. And so essentially they're taking care of all the setting up systems for us to be able to bill, and then they take a percentage of what we actually bill for. And I think a few county offices have that model. We're still working out a lot of things. At least for this district, I got everybody MPI registered, so they all have an MPI, and we're starting to get all the tech stuff kind of lined up. So our next step really is to figure out how to efficiently collect insurance information of students, which we've talked about, that could be kind of tricky. And a lot of our parents are they're just a little more hesitant to share information like that. So we're going to have to figure that out. And then hopefully we're going to start billing in August. And then my team has also been working a lot on trying to get RBTs hired in the district. And I'm also seeing if I can get them wellness coach certified, because we're going to be paying for those RBT salaries out of a grant, and I don't want them to go away when the grant goes away. So I'm thinking to sustain them, we can get them certified wellness coaches, and then they can bill when they're working with general education students to sustain their salaries. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, and I know in our district, I don't even think that this kind of was being talked about yet. So once I heard it from you guys, then I was able to or bring it up as an agenda item for when we meet with our boss as a collaborative team. And we haven't had an opportunity to meet. It has been crazy in our district the last couple of weeks. And so I haven't officially been able to talk to my boss about it. And so I think probably in the SPED department, this might be already being talked about, but in the gen ed world, like we haven't talked about it yet. So I know that hearing about it now too, like we would be interested because our instructional assistants, our classified staff, we're considered classified staff, our BCBA team, and so we would be interested in like the whole certified wellness coaching aspect of it, or even trying to figure out ways. I know, Holly, you were kind of working on getting BCBAs to be on that like billing or to be able to be billed to or to bill to. So, but maybe in the future, as for now, that certified wellness coaching option might be something we'd like look into. But does anyone else know or have anyone talking about this in your guys' school districts?
I know that our team has been talking about billing, but I haven't heard specifically about the certified wellness coach. Can anyone tell me like what that process looks like? How do you qualify to be one? I hear RBTs can do it, so that would be good. We have RBTs we contract out with.
Yeah. So there's different pathways. So there's a certified wellness coach 1 and 2. Holly, can you please correct me if I say anything wrong? And I think it's associate's level and bachelor's level. And then within those 1s and 2s, there's like an education pathway and a workforce pathway. And they just reduced the requirements because before it was like very specific educational programs you have to be in, and now I think it's like open to psychology. It's pretty broad, and it's meant for people that are in those classified positions already providing services. And you have to have a minimum, oh my goodness, there's like an hour requirement of if you're doing the work like experiential pathway, that you have the experience to meet that job and you have either an AA or a bachelor's. And then you need someone that's a supervisor to sign off on those hours for you. I got all of our behavior team that met the education requirements, either the AA or the bachelor's, to be it pretty easy. I just verified their hours and their experience, and then you'd submit it on their portal. And then that allows them to be certified wellness coaches, something to put on their resume. And then also it allows them to bill back. And then as a BCBA, this is something Holly and I we all meet those requirements too. But what's funky is that position has to be supervised by a credentialed person. So they have to have a PPS. So when you're doing your claims and stuff, the person that's like signing off that they're like their supervisor has to be someone that's credentialed. And because our certification isn't recognized by CTE, which is just weird, we've talked about that a lot as a SIG too. It creates like this weird thing if we get our behavior team to become certified wellness coaches, but then we're not like their clinical supervisor. It's just kind of weird. And then we're also certified wellness coaches. So it's almost like something's a little off with our certification, right?
Thank you.
And I just put in the chat the first link I put, the HCAI, that explains how to get folks to become wellness coaches and the different pathways. And the second link is just information on the fee schedule, which it has a really annoying acronym, CYBHI or CIBI, I've heard some people call it. If you're and they have a nice short little video explaining it if you guys are curious about it.
Thank you for dropping those links. Appreciate it. I know we had a couple more members join, so if you guys have any questions about this first topic, please let us know. And Katie also submitted the form again if you're interested, because we are looking for new board members. We have the vice president position open, secretary position, and membership and recruitment. So let us know if you're interested. And then was there anyone else that had any questions or anything about the multi-payer fee schedule?
It's a really dry topic, but there's a lot of money in it. So it's good to learn about it, where the money's at.
Definitely. I know a couple people in the chat said, they hadn't heard of it. So
Okay.
it's really good to get the information out there too. So thank you guys so much for
And I'm
chatting.
sure whatever district you're in, I'm sure they're looking for people to kind of pilot this billing. So if you're like, hey, I want to try out billing, 'cause at least that's what we're doing right now. I was looking for volunteers to at least kind of go in and click around and try to help figure this out. It'd be a good way to get involved.
Yeah, perfect. Love that.
And I think the new cohort application so in order to do this. To bill on the all payer fee schedule, you have to be a part of a cohort. And I believe the new cohort application was just released. Is that right, Holly?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so then your district applies through the cohort, and then they get the approval to be able to bill on this fee schedule. And then you have to like decide how you're going to bill. Usually you use a software you already have, or you're like getting a new one, but you need that prior approval in order to even do the process.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know.
Hi all, can I ask a related question?
Mm-hmm.
We have a non-public school, and so is there any conversation on how this would work as far as us being able to provide documentation to the districts so that they can then be reimbursed for some of the services that we're already providing?
Are all your students special education students?
Yeah, we're fully funded by districts, 27.
Okay, because this is just for the general ed population. So you guys would still, special ed is still just doing the regular LEA BOP billing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that one critical piece, so that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of wonder though about, well, I kind of wonder about that because like the certified wellness coach positions, for example, would not be billable through the LEA BOP. But
True,
would
yeah.
services rendered to students that have IEPs from certified wellness coaches be billable on the all payer fee schedule? I think so.
Okay. I mean, that
Right.
makes sense because it's like we only bill for the services on the IEP, you
And
know, like
Medi-Cal only.
yeah,
So
and
what
for
if
the
you're,
assessments or whatnot. But
yeah, what if
yeah,
you're
so that's true.
providing a service to a student with an IEP from, they don't have Medi-Cal and it's a private insurance? Could you bill for
Right.
that through this? I think so,
Yeah,
right? I
that
don't know.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Really good
well, I'll
question.
talk to some of our sped directors because if we can help support them in recouping some funds for some of
Yeah.
the some of what we're providing, we're down to do it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it would just be a matter of like them understanding your staff because in order to submit claims, you have to be like a provider. They need your NPI number, and so you'd have to kind of data share your staff information with the district.
Okay.
So I think you need some sort of probably agreement in order to do that because it's all the way, it's like your birthdays. Yeah, so it's like your personal health, your information too.
Yeah,
that
we
you-
do rosters with all of them
Okay.
already with a lot of that information. I think adding the NHI numbers and things like that would be just a new step for us, but we've done that on the insurance ABA side before, so that makes sense. Interesting.
Yeah, thank you for
Tanya,
that.
what MTS are you at?
Summa Academy,
Where's
We're in-
that at?
Pleasanton and Livermore
Okay, there.
on
Cool.
North Cal.
Okay, cool.
Well, thank you for answering that. That's helpful. I recently met with someone who started an agency that does virtual support, providing certified wellness coaches to some of the districts in like kind of a fun teen platform that's a little bit more social media-ish. So I just learned about all of this in like the last 2 weeks, and it's super interesting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. All right. Well, I guess we can move on to our next topic for discussion. Tier 2 interventions. Okay, so I guess I can start off by just saying what we've noticed in our district is so at Clovis Unified School District, we have our behavior consultation team that's made up of 5 behavior analysts and then 3 school psychologists, and then we have about 10 instructional assistants. And our instructional assistants mainly go out and do like or implement one-on-one the interventions that we see fit as a behavior analyst. Or we have like a consultation model where we work with teachers to try and strengthen their like class-wide reinforcement systems. But we're noticing that there's always that like gap between those two where the teachers are like, I need someone to come in and work with this one child. But then when we come in, we're like, oh, the classroom itself could use some strategies or a reinforcement system in place, and the teacher could use some support support and consultation rather than it be that we need to implement like a behavior support plan directly for this student, like a tier 3, right? So I everyone, because you guys are probably all experiencing that same need where we're trying to strengthen out like tier 2 supports, or even tier 1 at sometimes too. But one way that we're trying to do this is with our instructional assistants, we want to teach some social, emotional, and social skills lessons. And so we're thinking about having students that are typically referred to us, and where we see that maybe they can just benefit from that level of support, having these little peer groups with that we create, because there is this time frame after school where our instructional assistants have more time, but the school day's over. And so instead of trying to pull them like during the student's school day, we're thinking about kind of doing this little after school group for social skills. And we're still working out all the logistics, but that's one way that we're kind of thinking about utilizing our staff and kind of help meet that need at that tier 2 level. But what are you guys all doing? Or like, do you guys have any ideas for how to more effectively implement tier 2 strategies in your districts?
You asking more for gen ed or for SDC or like SPED?
Oh, great question. It's for gen ed students that we provide our services to. So I know many of you might be in different settings, but if any of you guys are in gen ed.
Okay. For one of my school sites, I'm in gen ed. We do the lunch bunch for social skills groups, so that they're able to do the check-ins, and then we have different groups that are already being ran that we just kind of been able to support with it. So we have AMMA and AFI, African American Male Achievement, and then African American Female Achievement. And so in those groups, we've been able to spread out our social skills groups so that it's happening during the times that they're already pulled out anyway. And some of our therapists and other support people have gotten on board. And since they're already pulling them out, they've just kind of made them small little groups. So we just started one with our McKinney-Vento students. And so that support person is willing to do like a small group with his caseload. And so he comes and does like a lunch brunch with them sometimes. So
That's cool. I love the like lunch bunch time. I know some, because for our district too, every site has their own autonomy. So they're able to do some like they can create whatever tier 2 supports they want to. And so there are some sites that do have that available for their students. I think what we run into is like the students who maybe don't like fit into those social skills groups. Sometimes they have their own like requirements, and if their behavior is at a certain level, then they're not able to access those groups. So sometimes it's like, or I think that's where our team was trying to like kind of come in with, all right, the kids that need a little bit more behavior support, but could also benefit from social skills lessons or from social emotional learning, then we can do groups for them. But that's awesome that you guys do like a lunch bunch. And I know that some of the schools in our district also have pull out in that way with the school counselors or the school psychologists or our SRLs on campus. Some of them will pull out and do like social skills lessons. But I guess too, for us, since the site does have their own autonomy, it's kind of difficult. Like if a student was already participating in some sort of social skills lesson at one school, but then they moved schools and then they don't have access to that at the other one. So that's kind of what we run into a little bit too. What's everyone else doing?
Fresno Unified has like a whole position for this. They're our tier 2 intervention specialists. And the goal when they first were brought on was to have one at each site. Now, because of budget cuts, some of them split schools. But for the most part, I would say like a majority of our sites have an intervention specialist, and they use the DESA screener. All the teachers on campus have to fill out a DESA at the beginning of the year, and then from there they pick out the students who are like scoring lower on specific social skills and create groups. They're like a sixth grade. Oh, we just bought DESA. Yeah, I haven't messed with it too much, but it seems like really useful for their position. We have DESA too. Oh yay! And so they do like at least 2 rounds of 6 to 8 weeks with those students, and then a lot of times once they go through their support, if they're not acquiring the skills they need, that's when they end up getting referred to us. Or sometimes the behaviors are too high for them to participate effectively in those groups. So then by the time our team is fading out with the student, we'll reintegrate them into the tier 2 groups. But it's nice that there's like an actual position specifically to do these things. And they mostly do groups. They do some more tier 3 work, like individualized like check-in, check-outs, or just like checking in with specific students. But their primary goal is to do groups. And then they'll sometimes do like a recess, an alternative recess if kiddos want to go in there, if it's too stimulating outside, but it's optional for the most part, I believe.
Jasmine, would you be able, this is kind of, if it's too hard to find, don't worry about it, but if you could find the job description or the job title of that and
Definitely.
send it to me, because yeah, I'd like to create something like that for the district I'm in.
Yeah.
Or even some people that kind of already have those positions, maybe.
Mhm. Yeah,
Because I think that would
can
be so
definitely find
helpful.
you. I feel like the issues that they sometimes run into is like they have 2 masters, like their site, and then also like their district employee. So they're in our department. So a lot of times the sites want them to be putting out fires when that's not their job.
I can see that, yeah.
But I think that depending on the site, they're all used a little bit differently. But a lot of times the managers do have to step in and make sure that the sites are not using them out of their job description.
I know this is a little bit outside of the realm, but I know some of you are in Clovis, but I was looking at their MTSS system, their tier 2 system for speech and language. Because we have, and this is kind of outside of the BCBA world, but I was really interested in language intervention because we have so many students on IEPs for language when I think they're not disabled. It's more of just they need some supports and then they'll be okay. And so I was looking at ways to get speech and language in an MTSS form so that kids didn't need to be on an IEP to get services, because then, once they're in an IEP, it's just a whole nother thing. And a lot of times it's not, then, you have to exit them, and it's a lot of work for the SLPs as far as paperwork and progress monitoring goals and all that stuff versus just like doing the intervention. So that's one thing I would like to look at, is a tier 2 that's specific for language, because we have a lot of students who are low language for reasons other than, having a disability in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, Clovis has been doing this for a little while. So I was talking to a couple of your lead speech therapists there.
I just want to get access to presentation. That's
Oh,
all I need.
great. Yeah. We definitely since the SLPs, or I mean, we haven't really had much connection with them because I think they are like housed under the special education department, and we're in the curriculum instruction and accountability. So sometimes we don't like get to talk about like what's going on or like what others are doing at those different tiers. So that's really cool to know that that's happening too.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, 1 second. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because it made me reload. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. All right. Well, is anyone else doing anything cool for tier 2 interventions?
I can share a little bit. So we also have the DESA, and we weren't really using the like things in there. We were just using it as the screener. But we noticed we had some kids doing like a breaks are better at the high school. And so our team there incorporated the DESA lessons while they're on their break. And I wanted to share, Pent just released a free tier 2 intervention that's evidence-based. It's called the POWER program, and it's for secondary, I believe. That's there. And then we're implementing some level of check and connect at our secondary programs, but I think we need additional training for it. And then I think our like tier 2, the one that's happening consistently across all of our schools, is check in, check out.
Check and check out's definitely one that's happening pretty much across our district as well. With you guys, with your check and check out, and this is open to anyone, but who's typically doing the check-ins with the students? Is it like the teacher or other staff members that are on campus? And then, or Jasmine, I heard you say that the tier 2 interventionist does some of those check-ins too, but do you have students that also have other people checking in, or is that like just their responsibility?
No, we have like school psychologists, counselors, RP counselors. It just depends who on that site is willing to take that on.
Okay. That's how it is at our district too. It's like whoever is able to take that on. Cool. Well, thank you guys for your input on tier 2 interventions, and we can move over to our next topic. Unless anyone has anything else they want to say.
Looks like Allison has a comment. The teacher will sometimes fill out check and check out systems, and then tier 2 goes over it individually with students.
That's how it is in our district too sometimes. Just depends, huh? On the teacher, on the school, on the student, and who they have like rapport with. That's what it matters for us too. Thank you guys for your input. So our next topic is community schools. So this is new topic for me. I just had heard about it because our district has a community schools grant, and we're going to be hiring because of that. So we have like an open position for BCBA right now. And then we also have open positions for 2 instructional assistants. So we are hiring through this community schools grant. And I don't know anything else other than that. So whoever else has more input on community schools, please chime in.
How many folks here belong or work in a school that's a community school? Looks like a good chunk. Okay. I guess I could talk a little bit about it. I work on the community schools team. I kind of am MTSS coordinator / community schools. It's kind of a weird mix. And then, yeah, it's just kind of a new initiative, huge grant. Basically, California is trying to help schools out because they realize that students get a lot of they get a lot of their needs met at school other than just education. And so they're trying to kind of make it so it's easier for schools to do that. And there's 4 pillars you're supposed to be working on. And then kind of where BCBAs hang out, the pillar we're at is integrated student supports. That's one pillar. But I feel like really they could be in all the pillars. I'm just looking it up. I should have this memorized. Expanded learning time and opportunities is the other pillar, family and community engagement, and then collaborative leadership practices. So at least my work as it relates to behavior in community schools is bringing in a lot of trainings for staff on how to manage behavior, whether that's the county office people coming in or it's outside companies coming in doing trainings on that. I've also provided support to like expanded learning, because a lot of times the expanded learning folks, they don't get any training on that, and they have students that have behaviors in the after school program, and they kind of don't, they don't know what to do. And so I think that has been helpful there. And then also parent trainings, parent workshops. And it's still hard to get the enrollment numbers where you want for those, but I feel like it can make a huge difference. But yeah, and that's kind of where I've been at. And then also just help kind of build up the MTSS system within the community schools that's pretty much my role that I've been working on this year. And I think the last cohort of community schools just happened. So I think they're kind of, if you're not a community school, I don't think you can be after this. And it's typically, at least ours is a 5-year grant. And then there's, they have to spend it in the 5 years.
Yes,
I don't know if
gotcha.
anybody else wanted to share about their community school.
I can share. So we're in, oh gosh, what cohort are we in? We're in cohort 2 of the grant. Our district did not do the planning grant for some reason, and we went straight into implementation. So we're in year 2 of the 5-year grant. And initially the people that applied for the grant are no longer our district leadership. There's kind of like a mass exodus in their district leadership, and then the grant was received. And they initially tried to sustain jobs that were already pre-existing. So it was like supplanting. So we had to kind of shift what the grant was going to do. And it's been a real struggle, really, in our community. I think just because I don't know if this is how it was. I don't think I've ever talked to you about this, Holly, but I don't know if it was like this in every district, but in our county, in Monterey County, there was a big push to have community schools coordinators at every school site. And really, if you do that, it removes all the funds. And community schools coordinators, the way it was written here, was like an administrative job. And so there was a lot of pushback from the community as like, why are you hiring an administrator to do this thing? And you're absorbing all of the funds from the grant in order to do that. And it's not going to children. And so we went through like iterations where we did that this year, and now we're not doing that next year. We're shifting the funds away from those jobs. And it was just kind of like a hot mess. And I think really an element, I mean, the intention is for it to be sustainable, right? And not just like one and done funds, but to really make a systemic shift in all the districts that the money touches. And how do you do that with jobs that are like partial, like, I think one way that like creates sustainability is what our first topic was. It was like the multi-payer fee schedule. So if you have people you're like funding initially through the community schools grant, but then you get them on the fee schedule and their jobs are sustainable, that's a way to have sustainable revenue coming in to support families. Our district was a little different because we had all of those jobs in place already, like the integrated supports piece. And really, I think where we're floundering is like our family and community engagement. And so that's kind of where we're allocating all of our funds. Expanded learning in our district is really strong now that we have some new leadership there. But there's still like an inequity because our students don't receive transportation to the expanded learning opportunities. So if you don't have transportation from your family in order to get there, then you don't get to participate in those opportunities, which is not fair for all of our students. And a lot of our families struggle with transportation. So like those are kind of the major things we're focusing on. But like I think here we feel like it's so big that if you don't have like a really clear focus and vision of what you're doing and what your intention is based off of your community needs and like the drivers of your community, then it can get really like hard. And while that grant's ending, there is one that just opened. It's called Professional Learning Community, and it's community schools is written specifically into that grant. I think it's cohort 9, and also it's geared towards chronic absenteeism, PBIS, restorative practices, and community schools. So another layered opportunity for anyone that might be interested.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
I can share for us. I've done the community schools kind of rolled in 2 different ways. My initial one was I'm in the North Bay in the Bay Area. So I worked with a charter school who had just got their community schools grant. And so they had hired the MTSS coordinators and the behavior support in mental health. And so in that realm, I wasn't a BCBA, so I was the MTSS coordinator that supported with getting the behaviors and all the different supports out. And so that was really interesting to see how the school used it that way. And then for the actual district I'm in now, they have the community schools grant and they've used it in some creative ways. So they have they just cut these, but we had outside contracts with BCBAs who came and did the tier supports for general education. And then we had a separate one for special education. And then we also have the community schools manager's position that runs like our cost and our SSTs and coordinates with our providers to get supports out that way. I'm actually transitioning into that position as a BCBA. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that works with just getting our services out to the different youth. I've seen it used really effectively in some school sites, but then in other ones, it's been kind of tricky.
It's interesting because I go to these community school collaboratives, and it's basically all the community school coordinators or people on community schools team. They get together and they just talk about what they're doing. And it's just kind of fascinating to me how everybody's done it so differently, you know, what pillars they're focusing on, because some are all about community engagement and they have event after event after event and they do it all that. And then other ones are really focused on the MTSS process, and you know, because it's hard to do it all at once. The community schools team I'm on is actually a pretty big community schools team. So we can kind of do more, but it is a concern that once we leave, who's going to pick up the work? Because it's a lot.
Has anyone gone to the Anaheim visit? Like to see a model community school?
You know, I'm going to San Luis. I guess there's in SLO they wanted us to go see some community school. I'm doing that next month.
Yeah, I think that helped me like to better understand it, because it's like
Yeah,
it's so flexible.
yeah.
And it's so the Anaheim, and I think also there's a model school in Oakland, but
Oh,
there's
neat. Okay.
it's like when I went to the high school visit, and I mean it's like it's just if you do schools really, really well. That's what it looks like. It's like
Yeah,
if you have everyone's voice at the table, like it's diverse perspectives driving the school and not just like a few people
yeah,
in a position of power driving the school. So an example from there was that during COVID, they realized that their community had food insecurity, and they gathered the community. I think it was Anaheim High. I could be totally wrong. I could try to find it. Oh, the Oakland School. I think I can find that one too. I don't know it off the top of my head. But really, it was a transformational principle that made that happen for her school. It wasn't like it wasn't additional funds. It was like her bringing people to the table, knowing the needs of the school, like hearing from everyone, and then trying to match it with partners. It was, I don't know, just it's fascinating. I can find her name, the principal's name, because I have a presentation from her. But In Anaheim, they had food insecurity, and they gathered everyone, and everyone decided they wanted to like spend their school funds, and it wasn't community schools funds, it was their like COVID relief funds on a farm. And so now they have a full farm on their high school campus, and it's not a class, it's not run by a class, it's run by like a farm, someone that is like knowledgeable about farms, and it's self-sustaining because they give food boxes out to the community. They do like farm to table dinners where they raise money to continue. And then every class on that campus has a unit that they've made a lesson plan that incorporates the farm. So it's not just
Cool.
used for certain classes. And so, I mean, like, it's like that level of creativity to meet the needs, but like the needs are the driver of what it is. And I feel like, at least in my area, people are really seeing it very rigid. Like it must have this person and it must do this, but really it's like, what are the unique needs of your community and what assets do you have in your community to be able to meet those needs? And how do you use your funding to match those things and then make it sustainable? But I feel like it's so hard for people, like boards, for example, at least
Yes,
our
yes,
board, it's really hard for them. It's really hard for them.
it is.
So,
Or even just like cabinet level members, you know,
yeah.
where they're not necessarily in charge of the decisions,
Mhm.
and that's a shift.
It is. And to get them on board with that is really hard.
It's very hard.
That's awesome, though. That they have a farm
Really
on
cool.
campus and everything. Yeah, that's super creative. I think that definitely opened my eyes to really what like the community schools does. Like I really had a very narrow view on it. So thank you guys so much for sharing about your guys' community schools. And then just one more question about it because so like when you apply, the schools that are involved, like it's not all the schools within a district, right? It's like particular ones. Is there like criteria for what schools can be on that?
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
unduplicate. You have a high percentage of unduplicated counts.
Okay.
So you've got a lot of needs in your district. So like our district is, I think, close to 90% considered socioeconomically disadvantaged, and I think 30% are homeless. So they're looking for schools with high needs.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Fresno Unified, there's not all the schools in that district are community schools. There's a good chunk, but yeah, it could be. And like in our district, our middle school and elementary school, they're ahead a year in the grant, and then the high school came on the following year. So even within a district, they could be at different times, I guess,
I
when they
see.
started.
Yeah, 'cause we only applied for 4 of our schools initially,
Mhm.
and
I
they
think
all
for our district, it's specific regions, like the
Okay.
Edison region. I think
Okay.
all of those schools have um, the community school coordinators.
are they classified, Jasmine? Are they classified employees? Mhm. Are they classified management?
I don't know. I'll look.
I put the Oakland presentation in the chat, but oh, it's Fremont High School. Okay, it did work. Sorry, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Perfect. Well, thank you guys again. Those were our 3 topics that we had some interest in discussing this time. And so for next time, what other topics might interest you, you can drop some ideas in the chat, but we also have a member survey, kind of like to give some feedback and to share what you are interested in learning more about and having more discussions about. So please fill out that form and let us know what you're interested in. And then just some upcoming events for the new calendar year. We'll have a couple board meetings and another member event in the fall. I think what we're trying to do is to try to do like an in-person meetup potentially. But if that doesn't work out, we'll just do another member event virtually. And then in November, we're going to try and find a CEU event. So please, again, let us know what you guys are interested in so we can find a good topic for that. And then we'll meet again in the winter and in the spring. Oh, and also Calaba. That's one of our big events that we try to get together for. And we have a reception for our special interest group where we can meet up in person, and then also a lunch that we try to meet up for. So next year it's going to be in Sacramento, March 6th through 7th. We also have a newsletter, so I went ahead and put a QR code for that, but I believe it also went out via email. So you guys are welcome to check that out. And here's our links to stay connected. So if you are a member or you want to share our member form to become a member to anybody who is interested, then you can go ahead and use that QR code to find all our links. And we'll also have all of our social media accounts that are in different platforms available on those links as well. So make sure you get that QR code. And I can try and drop any other links in the chat if you're interested in. And just as a reminder, we are looking for board members, and it would be great to have you if you are interested. Katie, I think, put the intent to run form in the chat.
I just added it again.
Beautiful.
It's really hard to say, added it again.
Thank you so much for doing that. I think I had a couple of other links. Let me see. Oh, I did have a link to the responsibilities for the board. So in case you want to know exactly what like the job entails before you want to fill out the intent to run form. Let me stop sharing really quick so I can get that for you. All right. And if anyone, so there's the link too, in case you want to see what the job responsibilities are, and then the form to run. So hope one of you guys joins us soon. But if there's nothing else,
Yeah, I totally thank everybody, because it can be really isolating to be a BCBA in school districts, and so to see you all and hear from you is really I think it fills all of our cups a little bit. So thank you for being here and talking with us.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Countdown till summer.